Oh man. So, the 2019 Toyota Owners 400 was last night, and let me tell you, it was not too enjoyable for me. I didn't really enjoy it. It was decent race at best, if I had to say so. So, Toyota Owners 400. Big talk before the race even started was all the cars that failed inspection. Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Jimmy Johnson, Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, the list goes on of cars that failed inspection. They had to start at the rear of the field, and it was very, very hard for a lot of them to move up through the field. The only two that I felt like really did the best job moving up early in the race was Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez. Suarez was able to get 10th place stage points at the end of stage number one. And I think at the first caution they were maybe 20th, somewhere around 20th, so it wasn't really great moving forward for them. And I think I saw that at the end of the race, the only car that started at the back that finished inside the top 11 was Denny Hamlin, who finished fifth. So it wasn't too great, I'll be honest, to go to the back of the field. But early on, Harvick led. That was challenged by Kyle Busch, who ended up passing him just before the competition yellow came out for the rain on lap number 40. So everyone came down pit road, got some tires, and Kyle Busch set sail, got away, and won stage number one handily. Stage two is pretty much more of the same. Kyle Busch leading, dominating. A yellow comes out in the middle of that stage for Kyle Larson, who towards the back of the field, he tried to get down low, chopped off Daniel Hemrick, that him up to the racetrack. He saved it, but there was a tire rub, a massive tire rub. He came down the pit lane. I guess the team didn't clear enough to where Larson went down to turn number one. Left rear tire blew up because it was rubbing. He spun around, hit the wall hard, and his night was done very early on. It's been a horrible season for Kyle Larson so far. I think he's down to like 19th in points now. So Larson is having a miserable season so far. Hopefully, he can turn around. He has this off week now to try and the team can see what they can do different to try and help themselves out, so that they don't have this bad luck. Because, like they say, you make your own luck. And with Larson running back there, that's kind of making your own luck, not running at the front inside the top five. But that yellow comes out. Drivers couldn't have hit road, and the big penalty on pit road is that Kyle Busch was caught speeding in section number 13. He has to start at the rear of the field for the restart, and it is a fight to get any position that he can. It was impossible to pass. Very, very hard to pass. It took him 15 laps to get by Chase Elliott, who was running at best 14th during the night. Like, Chase Elliott had a horrible race car, and Kyle Busch could not get by him for 15, 20 laps. That just shows how hard it was to pass. You just couldn't pass at all. It was just so hard. And I think he made his way up to 15th for the end of the stage break. He got lucky with his pit crew. His pit crew did a fantastic job on pit road. That's the only reason he gained the spots that he gained. He went from 15th to 11th, I think, on that stop. Made his way up to 9th on the restart. Another yellow came out, I think, where he was 8th place or something. He came off pit road, I think, somewhere up towards the front. I think he was 6th off the pit lane, 6th or 7th off the pit lane. Restarted, got up inside the top 5. I think he was 4th, the highest he was, and then he dropped back and finished somewhere around 8th. So for Kyle Busch, it wasn't really great after stage one. It was so hard to make his way through the field. He just could not do it. But as we mentioned, Kyle Busch dominating. Another two cars that had great speed, Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. Once again, the Penske boys showed their speed. Logano led a good bit of the race. Brad Keselowski led a good bit of the race. In fact, Logano led 52 of the laps. Brad Keselowski led 31. Harvick led 30, and Kyle Busch led 101. That leaves 186 laps led for Martin Truex Jr. Now, at the end of the race, after some pit cycles had cycled through, Truex had a 2-second lead over Clint Bowyer. The handling on his car was going away in some dirty air as well. Bowyer chased him down, then gets stuck behind Truex, which allows Joey Logano, who was about 2 seconds back, to run both of them down. And then Kevin Harvick, who was 6 seconds back, ran them down as well. Ended up being 4 cars under 1 second back of each other to try and win the race. Truex was trying to hold off Bowyer, just running, wherever Bowyer was running, trying to keep him in that dirty air. Finally, Logano used a higher lane to get around Bowyer, clears him, then sets sail on Truex, and in fact gets up right to his bumper. And down the backstretch on the final lap, Truex kind of ducks low, entering the corner, trying to use a protective line. Logano goes in a little higher, tries to diamond the corner to get a run off. He just can't. Truex actually slides up in front of him. Maybe that affected his car, But off the corner, Martin Truex Jr. wins his first short track race. Thank Christ. He's finally won one. They can stop talking about how he's over 80 at the short tracks. He's finally won a short track race. Led the most laps at Richmond for the 5th time in the last 6 Richmond races. So Truex has won his first race of 2019. That makes it now 5 winners on the season, and still only 2 teams have won races so far this season. Joe Gibbs Racing has won 3 with Kyle, 2 with Denny, and 1 with Truex, and then Penske has won 3, 2 with Brad, 1 with Joey. But overall, to talk about the race, there were 8 lead changes, so it wasn't really that much. 5 drivers led at some point during the race, and it just seemed like whoever got out front was basically king. They could play God once they got out front. It was just so hard to pass. Like once you kind of got out front, no one was really touching you. Like I think the only time we really saw green flag passes for the lead was when Kevin Harvick got passed by Kyle Busch, and then when Truex got passed by Keselowski, and then passed Keselowski back about 20-50 laps later. That was really the only time we saw stuff under the green flag. So that was interesting to say the least. Like, I don't know, it was just so hard to pass. And to back up the fact that I'm saying it was so hard to pass, I pulled up some stats from Richmond in the Gen 6 era. So this goes back to the first Richmond race of 2013 to now this 2019 Richmond race. So there have been 13 races in that time span. You will notice a very, very interesting trend with the ones at the top and the ones at the bottom. So, looked up quality passes. That's how I like to, see how a race was and whatnot. In the second 2016 Richmond race, there was 888 quality passes. In the first 2017 one, there were 806. The second 2017 one, 752. The second 2013 one, 668. The first 2018 one, 632. The first 2016 one, 614. The first 2013 one, 554. The second 2018 one, 549. The first 2014 one, 512. The first 2015 one, 491. The second 2014 one, 467. The first 2019 one, 395, and the second 2015 one, 307. So the trend that you should notice, or maybe you didn't, but the trend I noticed, which was something interesting, in the top 6 slots, in the top 6 races there, 5 of them have come with a lower downforce package. The only one that wasn't was the second 2013 one. And you look actually inside the top 8, 6 of them were a lower downforce package. The only 2 that were not a lower downforce package inside the top 8 Richmond races in the Gen 6 era in terms of quality passes are both the 2013 races. The lowest ones, 2014, 2015, 2014, 2019, 2015, superb high downforce, like higher than high downforce. This 2019 race had 394 quality passes. This race 1 year ago had 632, which is over 200 more passes inside the top 15 within those 400 laps. That is insane. Over 200 more last year than this year. Just shows how hard it was to pass. And the only reason it's not less is because the 2015 race sucked. By the way, the 2015 package probably most resembles this package that we have now because it was 750 horsepower and it had a pretty big spoiler. I don't think it was as big as this spoiler, but it was pretty much like this. So I just can't believe it. Like, it's just kind of stupid, to be honest, that we have kind of gone to this high downforce. In my opinion, just slash the spoiler off for short tracks. If you really want it for the speedways so that you can get the draft or whatnot and make it so that drafting is huge, cut the stupid spoiler off at the short tracks. In my opinion, it has actually ruined it a little bit. Martinsville, I feel like dirty air came into play there. Bristol, it didn't seem like it affected it that much, but here at Richmond, I think it affected it as well. Maybe it's the slower corner speeds at Richmond and Martinsville. I don't know what the issue is there, but this huge spoiler has just made a huge wall of air behind the cars where it's just so hard to pass. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not. And the only reason, like you may say, oh, but we had 4 cars within a second for the lead at the end. The only reason it was like that was because of the dirty air. Truex got held up by lap cars, which then in turn he held up Clint Bowyer, which then Bowyer held up Logano, which then Logano held up Harvick. I mean, it was like Harvick ran them back from 6 seconds down at a short track. That's not how that works at a short track. You're not supposed to run people down from 6 seconds back. At short tracks, if you gain a tenth a lap, you are flying. That's how close the competition is. But the fact of the matter is this: Harvick was like almost a second faster than them coming up through them because they were so slow behind lap traffic and behind each other in their dirty air. And then once he hit those three guys, he immediately stalled out. That's not how it's supposed to be. We saw one groove, barely a second groove. Logano made it work sometimes, but second groove never really came in that much, and that really hurt the racing because of the fact that you were just stuck behind the driver's wake. You just could not make a move on that guy. You could try and get to the back of him, but it was really hard. You'd start aero push up the racetrack because of just how big those spoilers, how much downforce. Like, downforce, in my opinion, is just not the way to go for racing. Slower corner speeds is how I've always thought good racing is produced. The slower the corner speed, the better. That means there's more opportunity to make passes in the middle of the corner. The higher the corner speed, I feel like the worse it's going to be. A lot of people have said it was very hard to pass. A lot of the drivers have said, a lot of the media members have said, what the heck is this, like, with the whole, like, downforce thing. I feel like downforce is just it's just not right. All the, like, F1, IndyCar, they're pushing for lower downforce and higher horsepower. NASCAR is like the only racing series in the world that has said, oh yeah, let's put high downforce on the cars and let's lower the horsepower. We got an issue there. You're the only one that seems to think that is the right direction to go. So either you are really smart NASCAR and you know what you're doing, or, once again, we have seen how NASCAR doesn't really know what they're doing. So funny thing about, too, last night is Steve O'Donnell on Twitter. A lot of people were saying it was really hard to pass, and how, like, basically only one person came from the back to the front and was able to finish inside the top 10. And Steve O'Donnell's like, well, how about that 18 car? Yeah, one car is able to come up through the field. It's the best car, too. The best car came up through the field and then stalled out at fifth and couldn't make any more passes forward. Great job. Great job, Steve O'Donnell. You finally figured it out. One car is able to make some sort of pass at some point during the race. Congratulations. You got that one car to make the pass. Now, how about the other, 20 cars that should be able to make passes on the racetrack? Steve O'Donnell, open your head, okay? Open your mind to some other ideas. How about you fix qualifying, because nothing is working so far. We're talking about qualifying, not the racing. We're talking about qualifying more than the racing. And then how about you fix the fact that dirty air is such a huge problem this year. Drivers that can play out dirty air more this year than they ever have. Remember how last year in 2017 and 2016 when we talked about dirty air and how bad it was, and that was with a really small spoiler because of how bad the Gen 6 cars are set up in terms of dirty air and aerodynamics and downforce and all that? Well, how about the fact that now we have these big spoilers, like huge spoilers, and now we're talking about dirty air even more because the spoilers are so huge. Maybe if someone in NASCAR actually opened their mind, maybe just run 550 horsepower with a small spoiler, maybe that would help. I don't know, but in the end, why? Just why? I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's ruined short track racing a little bit for me, in my opinion. I just feel like it wasn't a normal Richmond race. It was a less than average Richmond race. I mean, remember last year the chase race at Richmond? Everyone hated that race, hated it for no reason. I thought it was a decent race. This race, in my opinion, rivals that one for being just as bad. It might even be worse. I feel like it was worse. The only reason that this race was actually kind of saved was because of the final 40 laps when Truex got held up behind lap cars. Otherwise, it just wasn't a good race. That's my opinion. It wasn't a good race. 2014 fall race was pretty bad. 2015 fall race was pretty bad. This race actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the 2014 spring race, where no one talks about anything that happened in the first 370 laps. But those final 30 laps were insane, let me tell you. But before that, people call that some of the best, the best Richmond race they've ever seen. Yet no one talks about anything that happened to the prior 300 laps. But the final 50 laps were amazing. So that just makes up for the whole race. I think that's kind of what happened with this one. No one talks about the first 350 laps, but the final 50 laps of the race made up for it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. And I'm kind of just rambling on now. I don't really know what to say about it. It wasn't a great race. It's just kind of, please get rid of the downforce. Downforce, in my opinion, just doesn't make for good racing in stock cars, especially at short tracks. So please just get rid of the downforce. I know that's the direction they want to go in with the thing, but I don't know. That's just not the way, in my opinion. It's just not. So thanks for watching. That was the Richmond race. We get an off week now for Easter, and then we'll return 2 weeks for Talladega. So it'll be interesting to see how the package works there, because they're not running plates anymore. They're running the tapered spacer. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next video.